All right, good evening, everyone. Acton Planning Board meeting of June 25th, 6:38 p.m. Tonight, Jim Crowley, you will be designated site associate for voting. You got it, Jim?
I got it.
Very good, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. The approval of the minutes of June 18th, have you read them?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of June 18th Planning Board as written.
I'll second that motion.
I'm sorry, who said it?
Jim.
Thank you. Any discussion, any adjustments, any corrections? All in favor? We do a voice vote. Jim,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes, but I'm not voting tonight.
I'm sorry, thank you, Tom. Dennis,
Yes.
Gavin,
I wasn't at the
okay, thank you.
meeting because I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay, thanks very much. The chair votes yes. Moving on. A note from me. For the sake of transparency and clarification, there is an attached addendum to this agenda. In a nutshell, it reads, this is from MMA Legal Services Manual for Local Land Use Appeals Boards. Public participation, general, unless a meeting has been advertised as a public hearing, members of the public may attend and listen, but have no right to ask questions or offer comment. I'm not being mean or anything. That is rules. That's on page 35. On page 44, in particular, Tom, you asked about business meetings. And that is, again, from MMA Legal Services, and it explains if someone is out and misses a number of meetings or particular meetings, that they may or may not be eligible for a vote. If they are eligible, there is a way and a procedure to do it, and it has to be followed. But you asked me about it last week. I wanted to give you that so you would have it and know about it. Okay?
I glance at that. It looks good.
Thank you. Okay, go right on to old business. Could we have Brad Jones, Jim Moran, hi, and if you would unmute yourselves.
Unmuted, if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Great, thanks.
I seem to have lost Ben. Where's Ben?
Hi.
Let me go through a page. Oh, hi, Ben. You're on my second page. So, there we go. Very good. All right. LLC, 604 H Road, map 224, lot 026, a conditional use application, 18-acre solar array. To review section 6.63.7 standards applicable to conditional use. Yes. Before I start, Dennis has a.
I would like to make a statement. It was brought out, this is to Soltage and the rest of the planning, last night at the Selectmen's meeting, that what I was doing, talking to Soltage about the town getting some subsidy on the electricity, could be considered as a bribe. And that surely wasn't my intent. If anybody researches and goes back to the very first meeting we had, Soltage brought this out, that it's quite common with these solar arrays that the town gets some kind of a benefit by it. And that was the end of the conversation. And then when that was back in March, I believe, and the selectmen shut the planning board down for 2.5 months, and it was brought back up. I brought it back up to Soltage, and I set up a phone conversation between the superintendent and Soltage through Kenny Paul. So I was kind of offended by the innuendos last night, and I want to be very clear. Soltage told the planning board that this is a standard practice, and there was nothing negative or implied that I was getting any benefit out of this personally. I just wanted to clarify that for the whole planning board. I thank you.
Everybody is satisfied with that? And then Jim, you agree with that, yes?
Absolutely, yep.
Thank you.
Understand that. We're here for a conditional use approval of our application, and that
Absolutely.
alone before the board. Correct.
Thank you very much. Okay. What we want to do is make sure we have everything we need and go through with it. Now, we were, Ben, you want to step up here? We were looking for one piece, one correction, I believe.
At the last time this was in front of the planning board was at a public hearing, and at that public hearing there was a comment made regarding the accuracy of the survey, questions about where lines were shown on the plan, and I think it'd be appropriate for the applicant's rep to talk a little bit more about that. We did get a revised survey, or a corrected survey, I should say, with some additional information. But I think that that was the main point of clarification coming out of the board's last discussion.
You want to fill us in?
Okay, if I speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you bringing that up, and that is correct. Through conversations with the abutters and with our survey, there was a mistake that was made through interpretation of the deeds and the data, and our surveyor has since made the corrections, reissued the plan, and staked the lines and the corners appropriately, and has presented that to the abutters. And what we are presenting now, and I've dropped off a few paper copies to the town, and they have PDFs, is the corrected version of that survey.
Thank you. Can you have those in-house? Very good.
We've got them in-house.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so if there are no objections, I'd like to go through the conditional use checklist. See, yep, Jim, go.
Sure. I just want to make a brief statement that I want to appreciate the town for reviewing the application and considering the project. I believe we've got a good project for the town and a good application, a complete application. So we're hopeful that the board As they go through the standards, if they have any questions, we'll be certainly able to address those, but I believe we've got a complete application. And we're hopeful that as this goes through that, at the end, the board will make a determination regarding this conditional use, so we can, move forward with the project. So I thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And I will say, except for that one issue, that what we have has been very clear and very good. And I personally appreciate the Zoom site walk. What do we call it? Not a Zoom, well, it was a Zoom site walk, but it was
Kind of a drone.
drone
Right.
with two new technologies. Zoom meets drone, or drone meets Zoom. It's quite interesting anyway. Thank
Good.
you.
I'm
Okay, so,
glad we could offer that.
okay, board members, we're going to go through this now. And we're going to start with conditional use. If you have your conditional use checklist with you, board members, so you can go down with me. Leslie, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. Number one, we're not in the shoreline district, so conditional use 4.3.2. Proposed use is stated on the land chart, section 2.7, as a conditional use. Yes, no?
Yes.
Unreasonably, the condition of permit, the proposed project does not unreasonably interfere with existing recreation and navigational use, nor unreasonably alter the scenic and aesthetic qualities. Leslie?
I just have a question. If it's not in the shoreline district, why are we going through these questions?
Yeah.
Well, sorry?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just trying to follow along.
Yeah.
Well, there are several things in there, if you'll see it. It does not unreasonably alter the scenic and aesthetic qualities of the area.
No, I'm asking if this section of questions are related to shoreline district, why are we going through the questions? Because the project's not in the shoreline zone.
May I interject, Joyce?
Yeah,
I
Tom?
think we should- in the zoning ordinance book, I think we should be on page 88, 6.6.3.7. Standards applicable to conditional use.
And if you go to, on this sheet, 6.6.3.4, you'll see the standards listed in section 6.6.3.7. We can jump right there. It's on page 2 of 3.
My citation was for the zoning ordinance page.
Okay, well, this is from our worksheet. Leslie, do you have it?
I have it, yeah. No, it's just a question.
Yeah, okay, well, let's skip over that. Some of the things in there did seem to, have something to do with it, but we'll skip right over it and go to 6.3.7. Dennis?
I don't think under 6.6.3 and 6.6.33, under the conditional use permit, I think we have to go through all of that. maybe not the shoreland thing, I don't have a disagreement with that, but, I think 6.3 conditional use permits is where we have to start.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Ken and ask for his guidance on this.
Yeah, just watch out where it's talked about the existing conditional use, that doesn't apply. And everything on 6633, we've been through with the applicant already. So if you went to, as commented on page 88 of the.
Okay, Ken,
Yeah,
you're gonna have to get closer to your speaker because you're in a barrel. Thank you,
is that any better?
much.
Probably if I don't yell, it's even better. We've already been through most of it with the applicant, if we, the staff has prior to the board. So if you start at 6634, that will be good.
All right. We'll do that. Everyone, 6.6.3.4. And it says the standards listed in section 6.6.3.7 are reviewed and found that A, the use will not have an adverse impact on spawning ground fish, aquatic life, birds, or other wildlife habitat. Yes, no, and A.
Yes.
Can I hear from others? Okay. B, the use will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual and access to bodies of water.
Not applicable.
NA, thank you.
Joyce,
Excuse me, Jim.
Yeah, question. As you go through the standards, is it required that the board make a decision whether they meet the standards or not? Or is it just one board member can weigh in on it? Or does a vote need to be made for each
We
standard?
don't need a vote. We need, if two members come up with a yes or no, we'll discuss it and we'll come up with one answer. It is
Okay.
a vote,
All right.
per
Very good,
se.
thanks.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to jump in, Joyce. This is Ben Smith from North Star. One thing that could help with the discussion as you go through this is the analysis that we've prepared in the staff memo. That is dated June 23rd that Sarah Del Ghizo and the North Star office put together. So I'm not sure if you want to just kind of work through the ordinance document, which is what you're using, or if you want to look at it with some comments that planning has provided.
Well,
But we went through those conditional use standards as well.
okay. All right, so the board, we have do you have a copy? Do you all have a copy of the North Star letter dated June 23rd? It's an 8-page letter. It would have been in your package last week.
Joyce, maybe you just read the comments when you read the, as you go in A, B, C, just read North Star's comments, because some of those went out via email and some people are having problems with their emails.
Okay, thank you. That helps an awful lot. All right, that being the case, I'm going to turn over the reading of the standards to Leslie. You have it in front of you?
I do not.
You do not. The standard sheet, this one.
Well, I had the standard sheet, but I don't have the
Okay.
email.
That's what I want you to have, okay? I would like you to read that. Give me 1 minute to get to the site plan review, to that portion of the letter. Okay. You read the question, and I'm going to tell you what we got from our planner, all right?
Okay, all right. C, the use is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
This, according to what we have, this project does not conflict with the planning and the objectives of the comprehensive plan.
Okay,
Mark it on your thing, please.
yes. All right, D,
D, traffic, you read the question.
traffic access to the site meets the standards contained in this ordinance, and the traffic congestion has been addressed in accordance with performance standards in this ordinance.
The applicant should show locations and dimensions of existing driveways within 200 feet of the site. Applicant should explain relationship with existing driveways and plan to access. Applicant should provide details on how to treat the portion of the existing access that appears to be abandoned. The ALTA ACS Land Title Survey shows a right-of-way granted to Frederick A. Poirier and Barbara A. Poirier, map 223, lot 1, described as a right-of-way over land of one George L. Pillsbury and over land now or formerly of the said Robert B. Lovejoy to the above described premises. No actual location of the right-of-way is given. Applicant should show how the right-of-way will be maintained. Applicant should provide copies of existing covenants, restriction pertaining to easements.
There's another memo after that one, Joyce. I think you're on the prior one, and I know you're having problems with your email, so you might not have got it. So I guess after Leslie reads, Ben can chime in with his comments.
I think Ben should do that.
I would be happy to do that. And the relevant comment for traffic access to the site is that upon completion of the project, the site will not generate regular or periodic traffic. Visits to the solar array will only be occasional for inspection, maintenance, and operation purposes.
Keep going, Leslie.
Okay, E, the site design is in conformance with all municipal flood hazard protection regulations.
We did not see a FEMA floodplain map in the submission, but the site does not appear to be in a floodplain.
F, adequate provision for the disposal of all wastewater and solid waste has been made.
And as proposed by the applicant, the solar array will not be generating, storing, or discharging any wastewater or solid waste.
Floor?
Couple.
Oh, okay.
And there's a comment Sarah had written about the applicant should show proposed development, how the proposed development will provide for adequate disposal of solid waste from any maintenance or inspections during the site.
G, adequate provision for the transportation, storage, and disposal of any hazardous materials has been made.
Before we go to that one, Leslie, Jim?
Yeah, are we just going through the is the board taking any discussion or making any determination on these standards one by one, or are they just reading them and then Ben commenting? I guess I'm a bit confused. I thought the board would be discussing and making a determination whether we met these standards.
We know from what we're going through right now, whether you have or have not.
Okay.
Sure that you have. And if there is a question on any of them, because our Ben and Sarah, our planners, have gone through this for us. We
Understood.
went through it. And for the most part, we know what's going on. And
Okay.
we just don't want, that's why we have this checklist.
Understood.
Gives us a complete look at anything. We don't want to have to come back to you or to have someone come to us and say, what about this? Because we missed it. We're just crossing T's and dotting our I's. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
George,
Yes, hold on, Leslie.
Okay.
I would ask, as we go through this, regarding Ben's answers, that we say yes, no, or NA,
We still need to do that.
so we can have it on a checklist for our records.
I've actually been doing that on mine, so, okay,
I have.
okay. So Leslie, you want to start again with, I believe you're at
I'm on G.
G.
Yeah, all right. Adequate provision for the transportation, storage, and disposal of any hazardous materials has been made.
There isn't going to be any, correct? So the answer is not applicable.
H, a stormwater drainage system capable of handling a 25-year storm without adverse impact on adjacent properties has been designed.
And according to our review and based on the applicant submission, the applicant stating that it's designed so that the post-development drainage patterns are going to be, they're going to mimic the existing conditions. And as discussed previously, I think it was at the public hearing, the DEP does not consider the solar array developed area, but it's a meadow condition. So there's very little impervious associated with this.
All right, so stormwater drainage system capable of handling a 25-year storm. What would the board say?
NA, essentially.
Thank you.
I would agree, NA.
All right, there we go.
I, adequate provisions to control soil erosion and sedimentation have been made.
The soil erosion and sedimentation are really not going to be affected once the digging has been done for the post. That's the only thing you're going to have, and that's not really going to be eroded or anything like that, correct?
That's correct. We did submit an erosion and sediment control plan that shows perimeter controls around the site during construction. So that has been addressed. Any and all ground disturbance will be mulched and stabilized prior to any rain events. So, you know, once the site is fully developed and revegetated, there won't be any erosion.
So
sediment control
that's a
issues.
yes. That's a yes.
All right. J, there's adequate water supply to meet the demands of the proposed use and for fire protection services.
So there is no demand for domestic or fire suppression purposes. And as noted in the applicant's comments at the last meeting, there will be fire department access to the site through the gate.
So it's NA.
It's NA. And there will be a knock box, a Knox box.
Exactly. That's the term for that access.
Correct?
All right.
That's right. That is correct. That will be on site. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
All right, K, the provisions for buffer strips and on-site landscaping provide adequate protection to the neighboring properties from detrimental features of the development such as noise, glare, fumes, dust, odor, and the like.
Joyce,
Yes, Dennis?
I would like to just ask, facts from the property lines and on the south end, what you're gonna cut, the footage on that. Is that all laid out on the new plan?
That is laid out on the site design. It reflects, I think, 1.7 acres. There's like 1.3 acres where there's going to be some clearing of some existing trees on site. It's very little along the perimeter for shadowing, and then again up in the I guess western side, there's a little bit that's going to be taken out for shadowing.
Right.
And that's on the.
We've talked about that, right?
Yes.
When I don't remember now what meeting it was. On the north end, there was talk, said there'll be 10 or 20 feet from the property line. And That's all set in granite now?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean by set in granite. I mean, the clearing, referring to the clearing or the?
Oh, I'm talking on the north side, where the big pine are.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I don't believe there's any clearing up there.
No, but your setback for your solar array is what we talked about.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The fence. And at the time, it was said to be 10 or 20 feet. And I said I would like to have that clarified.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, the solar, the fence will be, just around the perimeter of the array and along the northern line. It will be set back. I'd have to look the design plans. That will probably be submitted in the building permit. The northern line. I don't remember. I don't believe the setback will be, it won't interfere with the trees, so it'll be at least 10 feet off the tree line. I don't have the exact measurements of what the
Well,
fence line.
I guess my question about that is, looking down the road, the way the site exists now, being 10 feet off the property line is not an issue. But 25 years from now, if that property is developed, I thought the setback from the property line, myself personally, should be more than 10 feet.
Right. I don't know if there is a property line. I mean, we're within the easement area of Mr. Doyle and his property line. You're talking about the property up by the auto salvage?
The north end where the big pine are, yeah?
Yeah. So there is no actual property line along that northern edge. Because the Doyle property continues from the field over the ridge through those big pines and up behind where the salvage yard is. So there's no actual property line.
He's looking at the lease line probably with.
Oh, the lease line.
Or the leases maybe.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah. The distance, I don't know if there is an exact distance from the lease line, lease area to the fence line. I would think it'd be at least 10 feet.
That's fine, and I stand corrected, Ken, you're right, what I meant.
You say that again, Dennis, please?
I said you were right, Ken, I stand corrected. I assume this is recorded.
Yeah, and I know, I see every board member smiling. We got this taken care of. All right, you all set with that?
Yeah, what was the answer on that one, Joyce? Did we get to it?
That would be a yes, wouldn't it?
The buffer strip.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. L, all performance standards in this ordinance applicable to the proposed use will be met.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
M, archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan will be protected.
NA.
NA.
Okay. Okay.
That's a public hearing.
Okay, now going on, we've had the public hearing. Yes. Notifications were all sent out. The applicant and the abutters all got their notification by mail, and code enforcement and municipal offices have been notified. With all that being said, shall we move on?
Joyce, I have one thing.
Yes.
This past week, Brett and I met with the abutters, the Higgins and the Waldrons, and we talked about access, and we talked about planting some additional plantings along the access road, so there would be a visual buffer of the access road from the Waldrons and a planting buffer between the Waldrons and the Higgins. So, that is also in play, and we've discussed that with those abutters.
That was very nice. We asked you to speak to them, and I'm very glad you did.
Did you move the road? Did you agree to move the road?
I think they've agreed to where the road will be placed.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. With all this information at hand, what does the planning board wish to do at this point?
You want to just check with North Star and see if they had any outstanding issues with the rest of their stuff?
Yes, we do.
We do not have any other outstanding issues. As you may note, we also reviewed this as a site plan application. This is not advertised or posted as a site plan, but it did give us the opportunity to go through the project, and it does meet, in our opinion, all of those standards as well. I think that to the extent that the applicant is stating that there's going to be additional plantings shown, those should be on the version of the plan that the planning board ultimately has on file at the office, and it should reflect the statements made at the meeting this evening.
Right.
And we could do that. We could certainly update the planting plan. I believe we submitted one. And this was a new development this week, but we can certainly update the landscaping plan and provide copies of that, digital and paper, to the town.
So my suggestion would be that we get all these submissions into Ken this week, and we can take an action a week from tonight.
Yeah.
Providing that he has everything in place.
Could we ask if the board could make a decision with, a condition, so we don't tie up the board's time in a follow-up meeting, that the application be, it seems like it's heading towards approval, so be approved with the condition that these be presented?
Leslie?
I'm okay with that.
Tom?
I'm just wondering if that would be in the form of verbiage that would stem from the audio of this meeting, which would essentially be our findings of fact for this project. And I have another quick question. What is Ken or the board's thinking on the performance guarantee? We talked, I don't recall that we've talked with Jim about that. I'm not sure.
I
Is that
think
part of the
early on,
conditional use? Is that part of the standards? I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
early on, we talked about it, Jim.
Okay.
What happens in 20, 25 years when you're gone? We want to be able to, bring this back to the meadow that it was. Is there going to be, a bunch of stuff there? Saltage goes away, God forbid. And we had talked about it before at one of the first meetings.
Well, we're certainly want to follow all standards that that the conditional use application requires. So if that is part of the conditional use standards, we will certainly meet those conditions accordingly. So
I think we want to guarantee of some sort.
Hi, this is Brett. I'm sorry I dialed in late.
Yes, hello, Brett. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm up near Jackman, and it was hard finding a Wi-Fi spot here. I apologize. We'll definitely. I think if you could add a condition with your vote tonight, that a condition that we have a decommissioning escrow, I believe is the proper term. Ben, if you could weigh in on this, similar to what we've done in some other towns, a decommissioning escrow is, I believe, that's a proper condition, and that'd be fine.
Right. If I may,
Ben, go ahead.
it would be. Sorry about that. I think there's some background noise there. It would be a fine condition of approval to have a requirement for a decommissioning guarantee for the removal of the infrastructure in the event that the applicant is not able to do that. That would basically give the town a fund in order to carry out that removal work. And if I could suggest some wording, it would be a condition of approval 1 to require a decommissioning guarantee in place with the town prior to building permits.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Ken, please chime in on here.
Brent, what have you done in the past for other communities with this same size facility as far as the amount?
Yeah, so thanks, Ken. There's a formula that we can either we'll submit a formula to the town, and that comes up with a number. It's about $50,000 to $100,000 that we can set aside, and based on third-party review that we can share with the town, and that's set aside to ensure that the site is brought back to its original state. And so there's a kind of a formula. There is a formula. It's third-party reviewed that we'd submit to the town to set the basis for that decommissioning.
Yeah, that sounds good with me. Ben, you're good with that, 50 to 100,000?
Yeah, and I think that the exact amount would have to be acceptable to the town. That does not need to be set this evening.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
But my question about that would be, this exact dollar amount has to be accepted by the town. You mean the planning board?
It's often town administration. The board would review the plan, and it's certainly appropriate to put a condition on this use, but the exact amount and the form of that guarantee, whether it's a cash escrow or a letter of credit, that's generally a town administrative determination.
Well, the problem with that is, as far as I'm concerned, is the consistency, because when we've had escrow accounts that we've established in the past, the planning board with a town rate has set that rate that's approved by the town administration. But for example, with a gravel pit, to reclaim a gravel pit, we require like $1,000 per acre, and that's been a standard that we've done with the gravel pits, and that's just for reclaiming. That's not bringing back like what we're talking about for removal of stuff.
So Dennis,
I don't feel comfortable moving forward with this unless everything, and I won't use the word granite this time, unless everything's etched in stone exactly how we're going to be. I want to know if I'm going to vote yes on this, then I want everything exactly how it's going to be out in front.
Okay. Tom?
My suggestion would be that at the next meeting, after a conversation with Kenny and Jim, that the board would be given a recommendation as to how to proceed in terms of the sum of this, and we would vote on it at our next meeting. And the other question to answer maybe now is, there has to be language somewhere such that our review.
Hang on, Jim. Hang on.
That our review of the standards tonight and our recitation of those probably on the next meeting, in a sentence, you don't have to be redone, would stand as our findings of fact for, Soltage. The audio from tonight would be worked up with, our secretary's help to, reflect them as being findings of fact, which we've been asked to start to generate on the. Just to recap then, Ken and Jim would provide us the recommendation next week on the letter of credit issue, or the escrow account, and we can vote at that, on that issue alone from,
I think we can handle the finding of facts, Tom. That's not a bad thing. We can do that. Jim, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's possible if the town could make a decision on whether we've met the standards, and is regarding the escrow account, could that be a separate decision at the next meeting? I think, you know,
Well, actually,
the application before the board is our conditional use application, and I didn't know if the town could make a decision whether we met those standards.
Well, actually, Jim, under what we've just been through, the 6.6.3.7, if we were to go on to 6.6.3.8, conditions attached to a conditional use may include, but are not limited to, several different things. Types of vegetation, setbacks, types of construction, etc. I'm not going into it. And 6.6.3.9 is performance guarantees may be required in the following terms: security bonds, irrevocable letters of credit, or escrow accounts, which brings us right to where we are right now.
Okay.
So it is part of the conditional use that we're talking about. Now,
Understood.
I think I will go out on a limb here tonight. I'm feeling a little brave. I don't think you're going to have, Ken, don't get those worry lines going. It's okay. It really is. You know, I think that the board is in favor of what you're doing, but we want to have everything done, and we need to see everything taken care of properly. We've got a board member who's asking for one question. We have Mr. Cashin asking another. Leslie, where are you standing on this?
My only concern, you know, and this was from initially, was the disposal of the panels at the end of the project, because, you know, as we talked about when Soltage first come in, there is no good way to dispose of these things because of the chemicals and minerals that are in the panels. So I think setting up some kind of a decommission escrow kind of makes me feel a whole lot better about that aspect, because no one has an answer to that problem.
Right. Mr. Crowley, how do you feel on this? Jim, you have to unmute yourself. The little thingy on the side there. Push the button.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay. I have to agree with what she said about the decommissioning, and I think that's a very, very important thing that we need to see before we can continue.
Okay. Well, I think we have I think we know where we stand at this point. We are going to have you come back next week. I will remind you, with all due respect, that if we were having regular meetings, we'd be seeing you in 2 weeks, not 1 week. So, please blame COVID. Ken?
Yeah, Ben's waving his hand. Ben's waving his hand. In the
Yeah. Hello, Ben.
Hi. I wanted to just clarify that the condition of approval that we just discussed was for a decommissioning guarantee, which is different from a performance guarantee. The performance guarantee in the ordinance is established to make sure that the construction of improvements are done per the design, and they're done with quality workmanship, so that the improvements, which are typically required for roads or utilities or other kinds of infrastructure, those are the things that you see a performance guarantee for, are done properly. The decommissioning guarantee that we're talking about is different in that it's going to be up to the applicant to install the solar panels per the project and the building permits. And that decommissioning guarantee is money or some other form, a surety, that will be held by the town in the event that the applicant is unable to remove the infrastructure at the end of its useful lifespan. I think, just from my experience in other communities, and I know I'm kind of the new guy here in Acton, but in my experience in other communities, the amount of that guarantee and the form of the guarantee are more administrative work that town staff takes care of, as opposed to a review of the performance standards and approval criteria that is very much a board direction. So I just wanted to make that very clear, so that, you know, in my review, with this condition, the board could consider voting on the application tonight. It's obviously up to you to make a decision if that's a place you want to go. But I think that with the review of the conditions, the review of the standards along with this condition, that's where we are tonight.
Everything looks good.
Joyce?
Yeah.
Thanks.
My issue is a longtime resident of this town. We have an area in town that the town took for back taxes is very highly toxic. And the town has been stuck with this piece of property for 40 years. And at the time, it wasn't any big deal 40 years ago. Well, it's a big deal now. And 25 years from now, we don't know what they're going to come out with. It changes all the time. And I've said this before. Our decisions, we have to look into the future the best we can. And if we vote on this tonight, I say I'm voting no. But it's up to the board whether they want to do it or not.
Ken?
Dennis, all you're looking for is a number for the guarantee, right?
Yeah.
In the form of how it's handled.
Yes.
Yeah, and usually we have in the past had that discussed at the planning board and agreed on it to move forward. We've had horrible luck with lines of credit, though.
So what is,
Guys, we just lost you for a minute.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Tom, go ahead.
if I'm listening to, if I'm hearing Jim correctly, they would like a vote on our findings of fact. The question being, did the project get approval upon the recitation of the standards applicable there that Joyce, Leslie was helping us read through. And then we just break out that approval of the means of the decommissioning escrow and the performance guarantee next week after Kenny and Jim have had time to offer us some solutions. But I think I would be comfortable in voting that Soltage has met its findings of fact record as would be evident in the audio of our meeting tonight, not to beat this to death, but I would feel comfortable in taking a vote, although I'm the alternate tonight, so I can't. I would be comfortable if the board went ahead and voted to allow things to proceed with Soltage on this project.
Thank you for your input. It's much appreciated, Tom. Much appreciated. Gavin, you've been quiet. I know you've read through. When you mute yourself, Gavin. I know you've read through the information on this, and I just want to find out where you are.
Yeah, I think it's a good project. Do wonder if perhaps we should have a performance guarantee as well as a dis guarantee. Say something happened during the 25 duration of the project. Would the decommissioning guarantee cover that loss, say to a violent storm or bankruptcy of the company?
Jim, anything you can say to that?
Sure. I'm not sure if Brett is still on the line. I know he maybe have more knowledge. I don't know if he's on mute, if there's a way to unmute Brett.
Let me
I'm
see.
here, Jim. I'm here, Jim. Hello.
Great. I don't know if Brett would have a comment on as far as how Soltage handles their performance guarantees and their decommissioning guarantees.
Yeah, I think, you know, they're two very different things, as Ben has pointed out. And typically we don't contract with performance guarantees for these projects. I think, Ben, you would concur with that, because there is no risk to the town whether we perform as a solar array and produce electricity or not. We're just leasing land. But we do have a sincere obligation to return the land back to its original state, which we take very seriously, which is why we do prescribe to a decommissioning bond. And we have with every project we've ever, every town and every project we work with. So, yeah, I'm not, the performance guarantee is confusing to me. I'm not sure that doesn't, I wasn't aware of that as a condition. And I'm not, it's an unusual precedent. The decommissioning bond we're fully on board with. And as Ben said, these are normal conditions that we work out with the town. They can be third-party reviewed, so that Ken, your concern about a fair number is properly assessed, given what we know, as well as with the disposal of the waste. So I think that is a very reasonable condition. But a performance guarantee, I'm having a little trouble with that one as a standard. And I don't know, Ben, if you can chime in terms of,
Yeah,
we're
gonna go to Ken right now.
I'm okay with no performance guarantee, because if it gets half built, we're gonna use the decommission bond to take it down. So, and that would be my only concern, is that it's constructed, half constructed, and things happen and Soltage disappears. We'll use the decommission bond to take it down, I would imagine. So I'm okay without the performance bond.
Yeah, that's what I would figure.
Does that sound right, Ben?
Yes, I concur with that.
All right. Does
Someone please consider moving the question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The question has been moved. By whom?
Tom.
By Tom. Thank you, Tom. All right. We have before us Soltage conditional use application for an 18-acre solar array on 604 H Road, lot 224, map 224, lot 026. All in favor, by roll call,
Joyce, what are we voting on?
their conditional use.
That they're in compliance with the
They are in compliance with the
standards.
standards.
Was,
Not approving
did somebody make a motion and second?
No,
Not yet. I'm
Okay, go ahead,
talking
Adrian.
about it.
what, there hasn't been any motion put forward,
No,
all right?
I said, I'm looking for.
And so I'll make a motion, if I can get it right.
Talk slow so I can write it down.
I'll make a motion to approve the, conditional use application with a condition that there is an escrow account, where am I looking for?
Decommissioning,
Commissioning, guarantee account set up. And I don't know how we do the dollar amount.
to be determined.
We need to determine and approve by, land use
Office.
office.
I guess we leave it at that.
Yeah, Ben has some good language that we've used. But Dennis, I'm in agreement with what you said principally, that are
Okay.
reasonable.
Reasonable. Okay. Thank you, Brett.
Wait a second.
I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
I'll second. Is there further discussion? Okay. By roll call. Jim Crowley. Jim, unmute yourself, please. Jim, unmute yourself. Oh my gosh. Deb, please help Jim unmute his computer.
I'm all set.
Thank you.
I do learn fast.
How do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you. Leslie,
Yeah.
Gavin,
I'll abstain. I haven't been at the previous meetings.
Gavin. Dennis,
Yes.
and the chair votes in the affirmative. You've met the conditions. Very good. Now you have to deal with Ken. And we do also want to, yeah, Ken. Ken?
I'm okay. Keep going.
Okay. We want the updated plans, please.
For the landscaping?
Yes, for everything. For the road, for the landscaping, every updated plan you have. That's what we want to have. Make sure they get to Ken, please.
Sure. As part of the building permit application.
As part of this, we want to make sure we have all of the pertinent plans.
Okay.
One more.
You know, Ken? Ken?
Yeah, just on that final plan, have a signature block on the final plan. Block for the planning board.
On the site plan, I mean, I provided a site plan to you, and the only thing that we would update at this point for this conditional use application would be the landscaping plan. So I could provide you a new landscaping plan to show the changes in landscaping based on the abutters.
That's him.
So, and I know that Brett will be submitting a building permit application. So as part of this conditional use application, I believe the only plan we'd be updating would be the landscaping plan.
The final site plan, just have a signature block on it.
Okay,
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking serious money, so I just want to get the signatures on it and bring in a couple of copies. We don't need Mylars or anything like that. Then you'll have it for your kids as well as ours.
sure. So you just need a signature block on the site plan?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
What are they planning?
Okay,
Okay, we'll be doing that, and then you do work with Ken and we'll be good to go.
how many copies of the site plan, or the site design plan with the signature block?
3.
Copy? Okay. And the same thing with the updated landscaping plan? 3 copies of the updated landscaping plan?
Just one of those is fine. We'll keep
Is fine.
it for the record.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, you can get all that information from Kenny, okay?
Okay, very good.
Yeah, definitely. Very good. So then you'll be in touch with Kenny. This is
Yep.
not as bad as pulling teeth, almost, but not quite. Thank
So
you.
we will not need to come before the planning board again, is that correct?
If you, you've got to bring in that so we can sign it.
Sure, no, I understand. But to be on the next agenda, we won't need to be on the next agenda. The board has decided that we've met this conditional use application, so,
We've approved it.
yes, okay. So yeah, no, absolutely. We will provide the necessary plans to Ken in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for your patience,
Sorry.
Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Ken.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If
Thank you.
doing something like this in the world of land and time of COVID isn't easy, we do appreciate your patience. We do. So, very
Absolutely.
good. See you guys.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Will we receive a document regarding the approval of this conditional use? Some sort of legal document? Ken, how does that?
We'll work on the findings of fact.
Okay.
And we'll have a conditional use certificate, but I really want to get you a copy of the plan all signed.
Sure, yeah, we'll get you that in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Ben, do you have anything outstanding with this one?
No, Soltage is all set.
Great.
You guys can enjoy the rest of the evening. There you go.
Okay, very good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for calling in, Brett. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, going on to Martell Estates. Arnie Martell, 760 Youngs Ridge Road, map 217, lots 028-030. An application for an 18-lot subdivision. The review of the preliminary plan application. Brad Jones, you want to join us?
Yes.
Jim, you're here, I believe. Unmute.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please excuse me, I am not going to try your name tonight.
That's fine.
Okay. Brad or Jim, you want to let us know where you are?
Probably want to hear from Brad on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Brad Jones. I'm with Jones and Beach Engineers, and I'm here tonight with Arnie Martell. And, we're here for our hearing on the preliminary plan for the Youngs Ridge Road project. And this project involves 18 new lots. We went through kind of the geometry and the plans a little bit during the last meeting. But I thought maybe tonight we did get comments from Ben from North Star. Maybe we could go through some of those comments and finalize that, and then we would like to submit a revised set of plans that would cover all the items that are in that letter from Ben. And this is a report that he wrote back in let's see, so that would have been on June 16th was when Ben gave us those comments. So does everyone have that?
No.
North Star? Okay.
Was that distributed, Joyce?
I'm looking right now. I've got several dates going back as far as February, so let me go through the file.
That's the only one I've got. February 4th, 20. Could Jim tell us what the date would be on this?
It'll be June 16th.
Did that get distributed, Joyce, you know?
I'm looking, Tom.
Does anybody else have a copy?
That's what I'm looking for.
I'm looking at one of the members that didn't pick up their packet, and there is one in here. June 16th memo.
In this week's packet. You have it? What? I've got February
I don't
4th.
have it.
In my packet, I've got February 4th. I do not have it either.
I think it was also mailed, emailed out as well.
I mean, if you want it, I can go through it generally, and I was really just wanting to hit some of the points. We are going to respond back to that memo.
I think what we're going to have to do, because we don't seem to have it, is between you, Ben, I assume you have a copy of it.
I do.
Okay. Between the two of you, you're going to have to share with us.
But one other just sense of place here, the packet that would pertain to what Brad is speaking to us about is dated May 21, 20. Is that correct?
This would be June 16th.
June
No.
26.
The June 16th is Ben's letter. I'm curious. The packet that we're discussing tonight is dated May 21 from Brad. Is that correct?
My comments in that June 16th memo were based on the May 21st submission from
Great.
Jones and Beach.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let me get started, and we go down through the memo. Like I say, I'm only going to hit some of the highlights. We will send back a letter. It'll probably be tomorrow or Monday.
Okay.
With a new revised set of plans to address all these items. So one of the items that mentioned a site walk on the site, and we have done 2 site walks already. And would like to, I know the board was out there twice. It was a public meeting, and we had the road staked at that point, and we had all the ponds located and all the lot lines located, and we were able to, provide a pretty good, any questions answered as far as the project itself. So I feel that we should be all set with that, but I just want to clarify that the items
So
at the
if you call
beginning.
in,
We're getting an awful lot of background noise from somewhere. Anyway.
Madam Chair, this is Dan. Can I interrupt?
I'm sorry?
This is Dan. Can I interrupt you for a moment?
Yes, Dan.
It would be extremely helpful if you are not actively speaking, if you can mute your microphone. That's where we're getting all of the background noise from. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan is our host, one of our hosts. So when he comes in like that, he's speaking as our technical advisor, guys. Brad, as far as sidewalks go, we've been out there. I think we know the property, and I feel this board has agreed that another sidewalk is not necessary.
Okay. That's all. I just wanted to bring that up and make sure we responded properly. If we go back down through the list, one of the items they want, Ben would like to see some grading on some of the lots that have some slopes on them. So we're working on that now. Like I say, that plan will, and what it's going to do is right now on our plans, we do show the house location, the driveway locations, and the septic reserve area and the well location. So we're going to go back and do some grading, and if it's a walkout, and show the contours of the driveways and the culvert and that type of thing. And so that'll be on the next plan for those lots that are on steeper slope. And it'll give a good idea of how a lot of these lots are going to look similar. So it'll give a good idea what the rest of the lots, the outlay of the rest of the lots. So you'll see that on the next set of plans. And as long as there's no questions about that, I can move on.
Let's move on.
Okay. There were a couple questions on solid waste, and as far as like when there's the trash pickup basically for the homes, and for these 18 new homes are going to be probably either a private hauler that'll remove that trash and bring that to the Acton landfill, or the homeowner can opt to bring that solid waste to the landfill as well. So that's also spelled out in our SLOTA permit with DEP, very detailed, and but once again I've answered that on the response letter that you're going to get. If we move on down, is item 10.6 and bullet number 4. And there was a question in the subdivision regulations. It talks about like a 50-foot buffer around the entrance of the subdivision and on the frontage. And it calls for a wooded buffer. If you read on the regulation, it does talk about if it's existing and it's a meadow at this point or not wooded, that the buffer could remain as a meadow buffer. And the other part of that is they want the houses and the look of the subdivision not to distract, be close to the road. So I wanted to go through that. We actually have 3 lots that are abut Youngs Ridge Road, and the first lot on the right is 29-1, is going to be 170 feet down gradient, which would mean below the Youngs Ridge Road and away from Youngs Ridge Road, not 170 feet below, but 170 feet away. And so that house is going to be pretty far away to, be any kind of visibility to the street. The other lot is going to be the Horn property, and the Horn property itself is the house is already established, so that house will remain in its current location. And then the next lot over is lot 28-1, and that is going to be 120 feet away from Youngs Ridge Road and also down gradient below the road. So so the bottom line is we'd like to not have that 50-foot buffer. We do have building envelopes and not have to, vegetate or put a wooded buffer in there. So once again, that's spelled out in the letter that you'll be receiving. So, and if I move along, most everything else. Yeah, I guess we could go back to the.
Right. Okay, let's, right there, I'm going to stop you, Brad. Then, I just want to get your reactions to what we've just heard. So they were in response to, correspondence you've had.
Sure. That sounds like a reasonable response. The section of ordinance that the applicant's rep, Mr. Jones, was referencing, it does call for maintenance of a wooded buffer strip. And as I noted in the memo, it's been a hayfield for a really long time. And I think that the intent of that section of the ordinance was to, again, minimize the visibility of new homes in a field. And if the applicant is suggesting that they're proposing to minimize the visual impact through, number one, the distance of the homes from the road, and number two, using the topography of the site to minimize the visibility of the homes from Youngs Ridge, it sounds like a reasonable approach. I'd like to take a look at the plan again, as well as the written response, but it seems like a reasonable way to address it.
So we can go forward from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Brad, I just want to make sure we're getting absolute completeness on this. So if we're, kind of digging down, that's why. So you want to continue?
Sure. Actually, the last item, there's quite a few items, but like I say, most of them were, respond, but I don't think we have to get too far in depth with it. But the last item was 10.16, and it's got to do with the street design standards. And it was actually the last item in that section. And it regards the turnaround at the end of the street. And at this point, both roads are designed with a hammerhead. And we do have a paved road. It's going to be private, and it's going to be 22 feet in width. So it's a little wider than some of the roads in town. I think the regulation, you can actually get down to 18 feet. So we'll be 22 feet, and we would like to stick with the hammerhead instead of a cul-de-sac at the end of the road, which is Road 1, the longer road. And the reason is it is preferred for plowing. It's easier to plow and maintain. And I know we started this process that was preferred by the town to have that hammerhead turnaround. So we did work with that design, and that's what you've seen on the plans from day one is from us. So I want to discuss that and see if the board had any discussion on that as far as that goes.
As far as leaving the hammerhead?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with Brad. I maintain ways, and the hammerhead is a lot easier to maintain. And what we've done on most places in the past few years is have hammerhead turnarounds. And kind of done away with the cul-de-sac thing.
Any other opinions on the board? Questions?
Oh, Jim?
Yes, Ken?
The road commissioners in the past have steered us away from the cul-de-sacs. They're much harder for them to maintain. We have given these plans to the current road commissioners, and I've got no negative comments back on that. And that's probably another issue that we need to address in that subdivision reg, an area to change.
Okay, but these are private roads, correct?
Yeah.
So the road commissioners would not be, unless they were hired as private individuals, they would not be applying as town employees.
I believe in our ordinance, we still have to run these roads past the commission and the fire chief.
Okay.
I believe that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Do I remember that the chief came out one time, actually, Ken, and looked at these on the first road?
The current chief has and the prior chief both were out there, and they were both okay with, and we're talking fire chief, right?
Yes, yes, fire chief.
Yep.
The current one looked at particularly the longer road. He was happy with it. Okay. All right, Brad.
Yeah, good. Like I said, I just wanted to clarify. I don't want to get too far into this and have to make that would have been a major change. And I guess kind of give you an idea where we're at this point. We have had a meeting with DEP regarding the SLOTA. We had a good meeting, and we're working with them to complete the application and to obtain a permit. And so we have got some comments back from them. We're addressing those comments and working towards approval for that. So, so I guess that's what I have tonight. And I didn't know if there was any other questions from the board.
All right, so what you have submitted so far and what you're going to bring to us is going to actually be a new plan showing the placement of the houses, the septics, et cetera, and the contours, correct?
Yeah, actually the homes and the driveways and everything are on it. It'll actually have the grading.
The grading as well.
That's, that have more of a steeper slope, so that way it'll kind of show how they're all going to lay out. So so that'll have all that and address all the comments that are that have been submitted to us. So we'll have a pretty complete and comprehensive plan.
Right.
Kenny, don't we? I thought I was reading that a soil analysis or a septic design has to be laid out for each lot before we grant this conditional use
The subdivision.
for subdivision.
Yeah, they've done their test pit datas, and I'd have to look to see if we've got the current ones for these lots and the replacement system location as well.
Yes, Ken, now I remember seeing it on the map. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so we did do additional test pits, and we've got all of the lots have test pits at this point with passing pits to. We show our reserve area and proposed septic area on every lot, so that should be all set.
So what are we looking at next, Ken?
Brad's going to officially put in writing the replies to Ben, and him and Ben can narrow that list down a little further.
So we could go through our checklist maybe next week?
We'll see if those guys get the information in.
Okay.
Okay.
Ben, do you have anything else out there?
I had made 3 recommendations in the memo that I can summarize for folks. I think that the decisions that the board is going to need to be making in relatively short order have to do with the completeness of the application,
Yeah.
whether or not to hold a public hearing on this project. And I do understand that there have been a site walk or 2 already. I did note in that memo, and I think that this is what Mr. Jones was talking about. I wrote that there's a site walk scheduled for this project on July 2nd, which was based on I believe it was an agenda that I'd seen. So I don't know, and maybe this is an opportunity for the chair or for Ken to clarify whether or not there is an actual site walk scheduled.
There's no site walk scheduled for the Martell property on July 2nd. We do have a site walk scheduled for July 2nd for Mahoney subdivision. No, it's a public hearing. Public hearing is what's scheduled for that subdivision. You may have just seen subdivision and a date and a public hearing schedule July 2nd for the Mahoney subdivision.
Definitely got my wires crossed on that. So to confirm, there is currently no site walk scheduled. Thank you.
No, there is no site walk scheduled. Leslie, have you any questions? Unmute.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right.
You sound like a commercial.
I know. I have a question for Ben. And when I picked up my packet today, I reviewed the letters and information we received from Drummond and Woodsum. And in it, they stated that they thought we should put this on hold until answers come back from DEP.
Leslie?
Yes.
If I can interrupt?
Yes.
At this particular point, letters from outside attorneys are not holding any bearing with us.
Okay.
We have to get our completeness done. We have to make sure. That's why I was actually thinking next week would be a time where we might go through, then sending in new plans. We might kind of do a cursory a review, making sure that we have everything that we need on the completeness of the package for ourselves.
Okay.
We're not, DEP will take care of BEP. All the others will take care of the others. We have to stay focused on our part in this big picture and our blue book. This is
Right, well, like I said, I just wanted to clarify that, and
no, we are not entertaining anything from the outside of Mr. Martell and his people. We're not entertaining outside at all.
so we should be just putting this aside for the moment then.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you for the clarification.
Oh, not a problem. Mr. Crowley, have you anything to add or ask? You gotta unmute yourself. Jim? Can you hear me now?
Oh my God. It's gonna be awesome. I mean, this is just what you'd expect.
One quick shortcut is to just press your space bar, and that will unmute you momentarily.
Great trick. I like that, Ben. Thank you.
That's a space bar. I know what it is.
Oh, hi there. Yeah,
I'm all set at this time. I got no questions.
very good. Thank you. Gavin, have you anything at this point? Gavin, please unmute yourself. Okay,
No,
Gavin,
Joyce, thank you.
you're welcome. Tom, have you any further questions at this point?
Just on behalf of the discussion, trying to pull in all points, I hope at some point in time, maybe after the public hearing, that the lawyers for Arnie and those representing Julia can be somehow or other entered into the record here. Certainly the points brought up and discussed.
Tom, again, we're not going to entertain those tonight.
No, I understand.
Anything we get from Julia is entered into our record. It becomes part of the record at the appropriate time, which is the public hearing. We will hear them and we will discuss it. I'm not entertaining any discussion about it now.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ben, anything from you more?
No, I think I will look forward to getting some additional information from the applicant and make sure that that gets over to the town office.
Great. Okay. Dennis.
At this point, I would like to respond
Look this way.
to the meeting from last week. During the meeting, I asked the chair respectfully to ask the host not to allow any emails, text messages, whether across the screen. It was very distracting. In conversation with the administrator of Zoom, she put out an email during the meeting last week, and she said she had no control of that. And so what I'm going to do now, this is what she told me to do, to respectfully ask the chair, any outside interference from something that's not on the agenda, not to be allowed to be put on the screen. Personal messages.
That is an in-house situation. I hope we've made it clear that our meetings, the public is welcome to watch and listen. We do not entertain any conversation, any inquiry, any question of any nature. We can't emphasize that enough. It's not because we don't like people. Those are the rules. We do not entertain during a regular meeting. I have constantly, whether it's at a site walk or a regular meeting, if you have a question you want for us, write it down so you don't forget, save it for the public hearing. I'm going to call that the end of that, because if there are more emails that come up that are extremely distracting, I mean, we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, more than 40 people here watching us tonight, and then having half the screen go to messages. But that's the conversation we should have after we're through with our business, and we are working on it. So thank everybody for being mindful of that and respecting the wishes. Back to business. Jim, have you anything you'd like to add on Mr. Martell's behalf? Unmute yourself.
I have, thank you. No, I think that we understand we're in the completeness phase, and Brad will be working on materials to address Ben Smith's concerns and comments and the comments of this board, and we'll get that application in to you for a completeness review as soon as possible. We're hoping for next week.
Very good.
Thank you.
We would hope the same. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Brad, if nothing else, Have a good rest of your evening.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all very much.
Next quick question.
Yes,
Have we scheduled the public hearing for,
not yet,
okay, thank you.
not yet. Okay. Let's go on to business. Val and Jennifer Bickford. Now, I know I saw Mr. Bickford a while ago. I hope he didn't get,
Discouraged?
I hope he didn't get discouraged. Mr. Bickford, are you still with us?
I don't,
I'm looking.
I don't see him anymore. I did send him an email and just asked if he wanted to wait until we got past the Zoom so he could participate in a normal type setting. I didn't get a reply, but I did see him on here.
Yeah, I've just gone through 2 full pages of people here, and I don't see him here. Ken?
I think we're all set with Ben. If Ben has something better to move on to.
I believe he is.
Yeah.
I believe he is.
Ben.
Okay, so not seeing or hearing from Mr. Bickford. I guess we can call. Hopefully, well, Ken, go ahead.
I do have one other thing that popped up. I don't know if I still have my little section on the agenda, but I had a relocation issue and that's Mr. Jones, which is, I think his computer is the Specs, S-P-E-C-S, and he is muted. Let's see if he can unmute himself.
Wait a minute. Oh, I see. Specs. Mr. What is his name?
Oh, here he comes.
Hello.
Mr. Jones had a best practical location we did. Let me grab the paper.
Yeah. No. Only a quick one. No, it's not on
He
there.
approved his relocation on September 15th of 2019. He's at 187 7th Street. And he was going to be, I think, 48 feet away from the road. They went into some ledge.
Ken,
Yep.
come forward again and please don't move around so much. Thank you.
I'll have a new budget next week. I want one of those headphones.
Good idea. But it's the microphone. All right, so last September.
Yep. We did a relocation for Mr. Jones. He is 187 7th Street. September 5th, 2019, we did a relocation for him. And he was 48 feet away from the lake, was going to be his new location. They've run into some issues, and I'll let him speak to that for revision.
So there's a retaining wall, and I put the rear wall of the foundation 2 feet from the retaining wall. The retaining wall holds the driveway up, and that's how far back I was going to move the house. So it's 24 feet farther back than it was originally. And what happened is when Dave Winchell came to dig, he said that he couldn't put the house 2 feet away from that retaining wall. The retaining wall would fall right back down, and he needs 4 extra feet to take care of drainage. You can't come off of a driveway directly into a foundation. You need land there to absorb the water. So what I'm asking, and it was my mistake that I didn't call Ken Paul as soon as this issue came up. And so So what I'm asking is, can I move the house forward enough to allow for the drainage to be put between the driveway and the house itself? So that the house itself would be moving about 4 feet farther forward, closer to the lake.
Joyce, none of this is in your packets. This just came to us at 6 o'clock tonight. We were out there and looked at a situation, so none of it's in.
I have the original one in my notebook.
Oh, you are good.
Yeah, I have the original room, Robert Jones, 199 7th Street. Best practical location, application to demo existing structure. Build a new single-family dwelling within the 30% expansion. Yoli moved to accept the best practical location submitted by Robert Jones to demo and rebuild no closer than 48. Leslie seconded. Motion passed. That was the original. So
Yeah.
now we're just looking 44 feet. Is that what it's going to be?
Well, one corner is 43 and the other corner is 44. That's I measured it this afternoon. And it's a little bit more than that, but if you round down, that's what it is.
Joyce,
Yeah.
just a procedural point. I don't think we should start at this point in time with virtual Zoom conditional use permits.
I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't hear the whole thing you said.
I think this should be brought up at a different time, hopefully when we don't have to rely on the Zoom process to look over Mr. Jones's plans.
Tom, that we all wish that were possible, but we may be doing this for the next 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, but,
And I don't know how fair it would be for us
we
to
have no,
pull off.
Kenny said, this is 6 p.m. old. It's 3 hours old in terms of our receipt of this, and nobody has any paperwork in front of them pertaining to it. I just think it takes up time unnecessarily taken away from our existence when we chat about things like this prior to when we should start.
Okay, thank you. Say what?
2 things. Nobody disagrees with this Zoom more than I do, but we're stuck with it. And I honestly believe we've already visited this place. We have some idea of basically what the site looks like. We also need to take code enforcement's expertise on some of this stuff. I'm not so sure, and this will go to Kat, if Mr. Winchell is qualified to make that decision, or to agree with it, Kat.
They also hit some ledge in the back footing as well too. And I'll let Mr. Jones speak to that.
Yeah, so in the back right corner and the back left corner, they hit some ledge. So that was another reason they wanted to move it forward a couple of feet. But the main reason was he could, when I made the original drawing, I wasn't aware that they couldn't put it a couple of feet from the the driveway. And Dave, as soon as he came down, he looked at it, he goes, "Bob, we can't do this." He said, "There's no way. If I need 4 feet of land to put drainage in. You can't have water coming off the driveway right into a foundation." He said, "That's not going to work." And I made a mistake. I said that, well, when I first originally talked to Ken, he told me to make the house,
Far
and
away.
move it back as far as possible. I said, well, if you're telling me that's as far as possible, then that's where it's going to have to go, I guess. So that's all on me.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate the problem you have, and I'm not against let you move it towards the lake another couple of feet. You got to do what you got to do. But my question is, I guess really for Ken, he's the expert in this, not the excavator. So I want to see if Ken agrees with what Winchell said, and if he does, that's fine. And well, we don't take recommendations from a private excavation company. At least I don't.
Okay.
Before we go any further, I'd like to get back to Tom's question. I would just like to ask the board in the most casual way, do you mind if we hear this tonight? We've got most of the information. Leslie?
I think we've already pretty much heard it.
Thank you.
So I don't see why we don't go forward.
Jim, do you mind if we go forward?
I'm new, Jim.
Jim, if you want to go forward, give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Gavin, go forward. This is casual. Thank you. All right, we'll go forward, Ken. So Ken, could you answer, please, if you would be in agreement that this is the best way to solve the water problem that would occur from putting a driveway up against the foundation?
I love the spacer bar trick I learned tonight. Mr. Jones, in the terminology is best practical location that the state requires us to do. So he brought it back to, there's a set of CMP power lines back there, and he rotated the house and brought it back right up to the edge of the driveway to the easement area there. A couple of extra feet off that driveway would be better and easier for the drainage to work, to capture it as it comes down. As everyone knows, 7th Street is very steep going in there. So if he did have a better area in there to capture it, it's not gonna hurt.
Okay.
I think 43 feet is what he had, that's the foundation to the 43 feet off the water. He's still gonna need a little bit for eaves and overhangs.
So what's the number to it?
So
41.5 or something, 41. Yeah.
42, right?
No closer than 42, including the overhang?
I think so. Yeah.
Gavin had his hand up.
Oh, Gavin, yes.
Is there anything that can be done with the driveway to remedy the water issue?
I think it's a paved driveway straight right down, and it's the typical 50-foot lots on 7th Street. The house is 30 feet wide roughly or so, with your 2 10-foot setbacks, so that's going to be all that fit back. As the water comes down that driveway, he's now going to be able to capture it behind the back of the house, and I would think if we are going to move it forward, maybe a detention rain garden type thing in the back of that house would be a good spot for it. Otherwise, it's got to go around the house and capture it on the lake side.
What's the map and lot on that?
187.
Yeah.
Ken,
that's it. It's is the address 199?
No, 187.
187, okay.
The map is 151, the lot is 16. 151-16.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I make a motion that we approve the best practical location for 187 7th Street, map 151-16, to relocate the house no closer than 42 feet from the lake.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. Jim Carley. Hit the space bar. Mute. I need to hear you. It's a vote.
Yes.
Thank you. Gavin?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
And Dennis votes yes.
Dennis votes yes. Very good.
Thank you very much.
You're all set. Okay.
Mr. Jones, if you're available, come on in the morning and we'll clean up what we got for paperwork and see what we need to do.
Okay.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
And closer to 10.
All right, I'll be there at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, guys, thank you. If you'll notice, our agenda has a new look. We have now pending projects where no action to be taken. They are placeholders. It's a placeholder. We have Mr. Mahoney, who July 2nd is his public hearing. Grammy Rose, public hearing on July 9th. York County Agriculture, that's the mineral extraction application for parking lot expansion. No new information at this time. These are simply placeholders. On the bottom are, again, reminders of particular dates. Now, one thing I'd like to say tonight, and if you also notice, it says this agenda is correct as of June 23rd, 2020. It is subject to change without notice. We saw that tonight. Sometimes we can make things happen. I would like to tonight address the selectmen meeting from last night. Last night, the selectmen found it necessary to realize, or they had realized, that they had been remiss in applications. I'm sorry, not applications, but in appointments. Every one of us on this board, except for Dennis Long, our appointments run out the end of this month. They didn't take any action on it. And last night, they decided they had to take action. There's been a lot of talk going on about this person is interested in being on the board and that person is being interested on the board, and a lot of. So for all of us who have been on this board for a long period of time, anywhere from, I don't know, Tom, how many years have you been on the board?
30.
30.
30 years? 10 years? 10.
I don't know if you got the update, but that's back on the agenda for next week, with the selectmen's agenda.
Back on the selectmen's agenda.
I had just gotten a call a little while ago that's back on to discuss the appointments.
To do the appointments. Well, I will finish what I was going to say, which was we were appointed, they decided they would appoint us for 30 days. I'm not going to go into too much depth about what I thought of that, just to let you know I didn't think very highly of it. Trying to be fair and open because of the respect I have for the planning board and for working with Ken Paul, Brenda Charlin, and Christina. We'll wait till next week. I think we need 1, 2, and 3 year appointments. If we don't have 1, 2, and 3-year appointments, I don't think it shows much respect for what we do and what we've done. And it's totally unnecessary. I just wanted to say that. Ken, I'm glad to hear what you said. I think it's very disrespectful and very hurtful. I couldn't even speak to Tom or Gavin to what they might have. I know Leslie and I, on our own money, have gone to class after class after class and have certificates for at least 12 different planning board classes we've taken. Everywhere from legal to how to deal with an unruly crowd at a meeting. We all give a lot of time. The pay is, I don't know what we'd call it, except it's nothing. We do not get paid for this. We give hours of work for this job. We know the rules. We are a quasi, I wish Ben was still here. We are considered a quasi-judicial board by the state. We judge when things are done. We judge the completeness of an application. We have to know what we're talking about. It's very easy for uneducated people in this particular realm to make decisions and make comments about what we're doing. People don't seem to realize we have no choice in what we do. Everything we do has been voted on, approved by our town meeting. Town meeting is our form of government. Every single ordinance is approved by town meeting. Everything that we do is done by town meeting. In a few cases by state. I think you all deserve a great deal of respect, and I'm proud of every one of you. So, let's see what they come up with next week, and hope things change, and you get the respect you have coming to you. Okay, after that, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Thank you all. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Joyce.